Good morning, Southwest Florida, and welcome to the American Tradesman Show with my guest, Juan Silva from American Electrical, and Brian Vervette from Vervette Plumbing, and his big brother, Gerald from B&K Water Extraction and Mold Services. Is that right?
That's right.
All right.
All right.
Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Well, Brian, I asked earlier. Valentine's Day is over, right?
Oh, yeah.
It is over, right, Juan? Did you get your girl chocolates, Juan?
Well,
I'm just going to keep reminding you each week, fellas. I know, Gerald.
I ain't got to worry about this.
Oh, okay. We'll jump away from you. Yeah, you don't have anybody in your specialties, right? Alex, do you have a special person, Alex?
I sure do.
All right, make sure you bring flowers and candy. And for Brian, he loves Godivas, right, Brian?
That's right.
That's right. Godivas and a G-string. That's what he came home with last night for Valentine's Day.
Got to cut back on the chocolate side. Not looking too good in the G-string these days.
It wasn't the G-string I was worried about. It was those shoes you showed me. Well, listen, for all the women out there that didn't have anybody to give you a chocolate or a happy Valentine's Day, I want to wish all the women out there a happy Valentine's Day and the men.
Oh,
so
yeah.
happy Valentine's Day. Even to you, Gerald.
Hey, appreciate it,
I'll
man.
give you a kiss, a real kiss, a little kiss, chocolate kiss.
Oh, I started to say,
A
ooh.
Hershey kiss.
Brian got excited. Well, listen, this morning we're going to talk about, I think in a sense of all of it, right, Juan? Door phones. I mean, door phones is something that some people like to hear about nowadays. Everything's wireless, right?
Yeah, door phones, wired and wireless, and the security aspects behind it.
Yeah, I mean, a long time ago, probably at least 25 years ago. Is that a long time ago, Brian? Or
That was,
that was when you were, what, 26?
now 2 more years, I've been half my life.
That's right.
48 now.
48, so it's halfway home. But
Yeah.
20 years ago, I mean, we were doing a lot of door phone A-phone systems,
A-phone, yep.
a lot of A-phone systems, and it was wired system. And I can't tell you how many times I probably repaired A-phones. I felt like calling them a couple other phones, like, B phone, C
yep.
phone. I wanted to throw them out the wall. But I can tell you nowadays, everything's IP driven, right?
IP driven, hardwired. It's just a progression of technology. I mean, it's just a lot of options out there.
Problem I think with a lot of people with phone systems nowadays is a lot of people got cell phones, right? I mean,
Yeah. That's where it's at now. Is to where not many people are having landlines or home phones. It's a cell phone now.
yeah. I was over at Verizon the other day. I actually picked up a live antenna that it'll give me Wi-Fi in the home through a data plan, and then I have a regular phone in the office that I can pick up now, where it's a phone and Wi-Fi, and I don't need any wires.
Yeah, no landline.
No landline. So and I can get my own phone number. I mean, I got to tell you, between 5G and Verizon, I'm not moving. I'm going to stay right there. So,
Well, to be honest with you, I think that's where it's heading. Everything's gonna go wireless, and then with 5G coming out and Verizon pushing it, early before its competitors. I mean, that's the route to go.
yeah, I know a lot of people out there. Phones are kind of. They change. A phone changes every day, it seems like. Apple comes out, and the next day, it's 13, 17. By the
yeah.
time I'm knowing, it's like 20. It's like buying chocolates for Brian over there. It's 30. Anyways, I just kind of tell him, Brian, you like the phone system and the chocolates.
That's right.
But, a lot of things that you do over at American Electrical One is a wireless-based system, right?
We do a wireless-based system. We also troubleshoot the wired, the legacy products. Going into a little bit of what we did not too long ago is where we took out a legacy product, office-based style, legacy product where you have extensions in a home. It was a home business, and that legacy product was causing static in the lines. So after doing the troubleshooting, we let them know that, and we gave them a solution to go with office base stations, that's current with the technologies, and to remedy that, but also to replace the door phone.
A legacy, so the audience understands, is a phone company, correct? Is that the company
phone
provided?
company, and then just the older products.
Just like Sprint or Comcast, it's just somebody else that supplied a phone for a development, got into that development, sold probably fiber. I'm guessing, but a lot of times, 5-6 years ago, we weren't talking 5G, we were talking fiber, right?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's where the issue started. Was the community started getting fiber, and when they went from traditional landline to fiber to IP driven phone numbers, that's when the issue really arose. and it was not working well with their antiquated system.
Now that you say that, I remember Gates. Remember the Gates systems that a lot of these developments changed?
Oh, yeah.
Because you had to use a phone line to connect to it, and then all of a sudden they changed the fiber. It created a lot of problems at Gates. I mean, nowadays, like I said, we talk about Wi-Fi and wireless, and a lot of things that we do at American Electrical is we now have stayed up with technology, right, Juan?
Yeah, we started with technology. We make sure that it's going to work with the wireless band that you have. We try to stay with the 2.4 gigahertz, stay away from the 5, and make sure that you're going to have a seamless product work for your home.
Well, a lot of things over at American Electric you do, but we talk about wireless systems. I mean, we're coming upon generators this time of the year, and I can tell you, people don't recognize what it has to take to get to a generator nowadays for permitting. So a lot of times I tell people, don't wait till June 1st to get yourself a generator. But these Wi-Fi systems, these wireless phone systems, a lot of these things that American Electrical they do is part of kind of preventive maintenance too. I mean, you want to make sure that you do get yourself a generator.
And we go touching on the Wi-Fi and going wireless. Anthony, if you remember, there was a module that we had to purchase separately for the generator just to monitor it.
That's right. That's
I mean, technology has progressed so far that it's actually built in now in the newer generators.
Yeah, they have Bluetooth connection now.
Bluetooth connection, wireless connection, and that's actually some of the ways that you actually activate the generator is connecting it to the home network.
You can also start it up and then check it out. I mean, the things nowadays from technologies. It has changed the world. I mean, in 5 years, if you think about when the Apple was 5 years ago, was probably a 7, I'm just guessing, or a 6. So the 6 to a 11 or 13 has changed incredibly on these phones. I mean, I'm hoping they go to work for me. What do you think, Brian? Brian, I want to go to work right now, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
If they go to work for me every day, I'd probably put somebody in the front. I just read on a news article that the truck drivers in Texas are going to become driverless. They just started. They put 6 trucks on the road. They're like a light blue or a midnight blue. And I gotta tell you, I'm looking for those trucks now coming through Florida so I can run away from them. But they're driverless. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Driverless drives a truck right here from Texas. I gotta say, that's kind of scary to me.
There's a couple of different trucking outfits I can think of that probably would drive no different than them. So.
UPS, you mean?
No, not UPS. They're for the 18-wheelers, but I see several of those outfits, and I don't know where they get these guys.
Well, this is the problem. I mean, now that you brought that up, where they get these guys, we have the problems, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we all have the problems. We can find employees, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's a struggle for everybody. I mean, so you're looking into the trucking world, and that's why they say, forget it. We'll get a driverless one.
Right.
So I think I'm going to see if I can get my driverless owner. What do you think, Juan?
I wonder if I'm going to get my packages faster.
Yeah, you probably would. Well, listen, we talk about, some of the things on the radio, and what we're talking about today is wireless equipment, things that, connect, like Alexa, right? And even Microsoft.
Yeah, so, even touching back to the door phones, the way we used to do it, we'll run, Cat 5, Cat 6, wiring to the front door, and that'll run back to a structure panel that ties into, the controller, and then it'll make your house phones ring. I mean, and like I said, everything's turning into wirelessly now to where you can get a Ring, you can get a Sky Bell, you can get an August door lock, an August doorbell. There's just so many different companies out there that now it just rings cell phones. And, I guess the only thing you have to worry about nowadays is just signal strength. And that's something that we can take care of.
Well, one, like I said, the audience is listening to on this, this Wi-Fi, I guess you could say debut of us talking about Wi-Fi and connect and wireless equipment and some of the things in the electronic world that we take care of, right?
Yeah, so if you have any questions, whether, you want to hardwire your TVs, hardwire anything in your home that, needs a network connection, or you're worried about Wi-Fi signal on one end of the house and, that you're not getting strong enough strength, or even outside your house, give us a call or look us up on our website at AmericanElectricalService.net. Give us a call at 239-353-4389. And when you give us a call, mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you a 10% off.
That's a good deal right there. Over at American Electrical, they got everything they can do from an electrical standpoint, from adding an outlet wand to changing a light bulb to signs 50 feet in the air, right? So a lot of things that they, continue to do and specialize in is service work. People that need somebody to help every day, right?
Yeah, we specialize in service work. That's our forte. You know, we like to roll out the red carpet for our clients, and our red carpet's tarps. So, you know, we cover the floors wherever we work. You know, we specialize in property management. You know, we work with high rises and condominiums all the time, residential homeowners, and commercial properties.
So if you're a property manager or a maintenance manager for a property, give us a call at 239-353-4389. That's 239-353-4389. American Electrical, right, Juan?
Yes, sir.
All right, Semper Fi. Hoorah. Hoorah. Hey, Gerald, I want to come over to you to say hi at the table. What do we call this table, Brian? The round table.
The round table.
Not that's because we're round, okay? I was going to say the Knights of Round Table. Okay, Brian? The Knights of Round Table. But that's what we do around here is we have a little round table, right, Joe?
That's right.
And we kind of sit around and talk to you guys and tell you guys about permitting and licensing and everything from construction to cleaning a house, Juan, and I mean, anything you want out there. I mean, I was with Johnny Supreme today, Supreme Auto. So I want to kind of give a shout out to Supreme Auto and JR and that whole family. Those guys are family. I mean, most Italians are family, right, Brian? That's right. So, I mean,
See?
I don't even know how to answer that one.
As long as you just say oui.
I think I got to. Let me go back over to you, Gerald. I love you, Gerald. You roll with the punches. I mean, it's a good thing it's your brother, though. I mean, me and Juan are brothers, too. Just different, little shade of color, right, Juan?
Little,
Yeah. Just say C.
See, that I can say.
Okay. Gerald, go ahead, man. What were you talk about today?
So today we're going to talk about manifolds. So there's many different brands, Manablock being the leading one. And usually if you have a polybutylene system in your home, a lot of times people have the manifolds. They're usually located in the garage, located in the laundry room. If you have one of these in your unit, don't touch it. That could be the best advice I could tell you is don't touch it.
A lot of times, you know, it's funny that you say that because I've been into homes where, Juan, you can contest that an electrical panel is stuck behind a painting, and the people are saying, I'm selling it. And then we spend probably 25 minutes trying to find the panel, right?
Oh, yeah.
So a Manablock system, I mean, a lot of times back in the day, it used to be in the garage, right, Brian? Yeah, so I got to kind of, when you said it's in the wall, I know what's even worse is that you got to go finding it sometimes. So that's the problem. Some people don't even know they have Manablock systems.
Yeah, a lot of the units that have the Manablock systems, they don't have stops at each individual fixture. So the biggest issue with that is if you want to shut the water off to say replace the toilet, replace the faucet, they'll go back to that Manablock system and they'll go and find the particular valve that closes off that portion of water. I would advise strongly against turning these valves. The Manablock system or any of those manifold systems are not very good, you know, in the first place. And after they've sat for 15 to 25 years and nobody's turned them, more times than not, we find that those things will pop on you. And once that happens, of course, you're going to have to shut off water to the whole place. So, like I said, if I was you, I would advise going ahead and shutting down the whole unit rather than try to mess with the Manablock system.
You know, from a standpoint of a Manablock system, Brian, I'm kind of shoot this question at you. I walk into a home that's probably the 90s, I'm just guessing, in 2000s, right, that I see a lot of the times. And I haven't seen them much in the condos, but I've seen them in the homes. But one of the things I kind of understand is when I do see the Manablock system, I mean, what's the correct answer to do with that? I mean, am I going to just leave it alone, or can I cut those pipes and then join them back together? Because I got to tell you, I would be afraid to turn one of those valves personally. It's plastic, right, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to try to.
I mean, to be honest with you, probably currently about 95% of the Manablock systems we come across are actually polybutylene.
Correct.
So that's got to be fragile.
That's going to be a repipe.
Yeah, a repipe.
Yeah, we won't even touch it. Period. Yeah. I mean, if you have we had one lady had one have an issue. She had a different plumber in there, and they were doing just that. They were going to replace the toilet, and
left the pipe and left.
Well, they went in there to turn the Manablock off, and when they turned the valve, it popped the valve, flooded her whole unit. So she didn't want that plumber. She brought us in. She wanted to replace just the Manablock. And what happens with that is, if you try to just replace the Manablock any of those pipes that you have to disconnect and reconnect, it's polybutylene. So I mean, any jarring or anything like that, you're liable to split this pipe 3 feet away from that mana block inside the wall and not realize it because you're having to move this polybutylene piping. And when that happens, I'm not going to be liable for that leak 3 foot away from that mana block because my connection to it is not leaking. The pipe 3 feet away is. Now you have a whole separate leak. And the money you're going to spend on a mana block and the labor to have it installed, I mean, you might as well just spend a little more and get a repipe. Now, we won't touch it, period. We won't change them out. We're going to advise a full repipe regardless.
Yeah. Plus, there's several manufacturers of those mana blocks, and several of them, the parts are not even available. They're discontinued.
You know, a lot of times I can see that the house is older by the CPVC, right? I mean, not to say it, but it's got a yellow color to it, or it looks even more yellow than mustard, right? I mean, it looks like it's ready to break. And some of the things that I kind of know when I do an inspection or I look at a house, if I'm going to purchase it or fix it or remodel, is I look at those things first to see what the plumbing is, because you know just as well as I do. I mean, if it's 20 years ago, it was 20 years ago. And how many of you guys got sneakers 20 years ago, Brian?
No.
No? Okay.
You got who has a 20-year-old TV?
Ooh. I don't want to talk about TVs. I had to get one for my mother. I love you, Mom. Just putting a shot out there. Love you. Anyways, but, you know, you guys understand that I see a lot of times that it's always polybutylene. It's yellow. I mean, it turns really yellow. So it's even more exposed to the heat in the attic. So it's got to go up in the attic. It's got to be exposed to the heat. How fragile. I mean, I do know about fire alarms breaking with that back in the day, but if a pipe breaks up there in the attic, I mean, it's crazy, right?
Oh, yeah, it's going to demolish whatever's below it. So, like I said, between, you know, the polybutylene, you're best off to get a repipe. Trying to repair any form of the mana block or any of the manifold systems that are out there that are like that, I mean, it's not worth the money that you're going to put into it, especially if you still have a faulty pipe that chances are your insurance company is going to end up dropping you over. Or worse yet, you do have an incident and they find out it's polybutylene and they're not going to cover your claim because you're you know, living in a home that's going to have faulty pipe that, you know, should have been replaced. And that's the biggest concern is you know, they will have clauses and stipulations in your policy that, you know, certain types of pipes they're not going to cover. And a lot of times polybutylene is the one that they are going to because it has been outlawed. And, you know, it is up to the homeowner to make sure that they keep a check on this and get these things replaced. So a lot of times your claim might not even be approved if you were to have an incident from it. But more than anything, if you do have the any of the manifold systems, and they do have them now for PEX as well. Now we don't do the manifold systems for PEX because that's an added liability to the customer. And
It's just one more connection point, right?
Well, it's not only that, but the manifold system itself is a large liability. PEX pipe is very dependable, and as long as the plumbing company who uses the PEX pipe will use brass lead-free fittings and not the poly fittings, the plastic fittings, you have a very good pipe and you have a very good domestic supply system. But anytime that you add in that manifold system, you might as well have stuck with your polybutylene or CPVC or whatever you had prior to, because the manifold system is going to fail. I mean, there's no doubt about that. That is not a good system to have. You might as well make direct connections to a main line and stub down to each fixture. Don't let someone come in with a manifold system. Use the stops up underneath each fixture and let that be, you know, your way of shutting off the water, because anything else is going to cause you issues.
Plus, we always look at, like, the more you have of something in your home, the more the liability. So when you take a PEX, like when we install the PEX systems and we run the pipes and we go to the individual fixtures and put the stop.
Just one stop, one home run, right straight to
Right.
the-
Drop down to the fixture for the
Right.
cold, hot, stop on each side. Let's take a 2,200 square foot home, 2-bath. You're going to have probably in domestic water piping with 3/4 and 1/2 inch altogether, probably about 420 feet of piping throughout the whole house. You take that same setup on a mana block,
It's 1,000.
yeah, you're going to have probably 2,200 feet.
So it's more pipe.
It's
There's
it's
a lot
more
more.
pipe because every feed has to come from the mana block
right, all the way back.
to the fixture.
It's like being an
a home run.
electrician.
Right. So the more times you have that
It's a home
pipe,
run, that's
yeah,
right.
going through the attic, possibly rubbing against a truss, your metal plates for your trusses.
Yep,
Just in general. It's just that there's more of an opportunity for a leak.
We run into that every day. We wire at home, right? Juan?
Yeah.
Every time we have to wire a house, we run a home run. I mean, I say home run, but you have a home run for the bedroom, the bathroom,
Dedicated
kitchen
circuit,
lights.
yep.
So we run home runs all the time. So that becomes costly just in labor. I mean, we run into probably 40, maybe 38 circuits a panel, right?
Yeah.
38 circuits. We're making 38, 30, maybe even 40 home runs, in a house, right? Just the home runs.
Just the home runs alone, it's a pain, and then we got to make sure that we're not bundling and creating a heat. But just going back to what Gerald said, I like when he gets into detail because you got to kind of look at the difference. The difference is you'll have one electrician or one plumber come in, and you're never going to have apples to apples. And the best thing about, Brian and Gerald, they're going to give you the suggestions. They're going to give you the knowledge, the background. You're never going to have an apples to apples unless, you are, these things are brought to light. Just like he said, lead-free brass fittings, the connections that he's going to do, the mana block, the type of PEX, that he's going to use. These are things that he's bringing to your attention. That way, when you look at a comparison, you actually know what you're getting at the end of the day.
You're getting educated, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's what this is about. It's an education. It was funny earlier. We had a conversation about somebody getting another job based on how they probably used CPVC, right?
Correct. Yeah, we got outbidded.
Outbidded by it, right?
Yeah. But I mean, it's way cheaper than what we're going to do, and so the community was looking at repipes for their unit owners, and of course we got outbid. But I mean, you're going to be looking at two totally different things, and it was not by much. And that's the sad thing is they're going to come in and they're going to repipe this whole unit in CPVC, which is at max, a 12-year pipe before you're going to start failing, and it's being ran on the exterior of all things as well. And in the same sense, we were doing copper, ran up a building, to feed it versus CPVC, PEX on the inside, brass lead-free fittings. I mean.
So you're telling me, right now that they were going to run the CPVC on the wall?
Correct.
Outside?
On the exterior.
block wall.
Yeah.
Up
that-
into the soffit.
So how do they rate the PVC? I mean, in electrical, we have schedules, right? Schedule
Yeah,
40,
we have to have it.
Schedule 80.
Schedule 80,
It's
Schedule 40.
standard CPVC. They're not.
It's not Schedule 8, it's Schedule 40.
UV rated.
How does it get UV
No,
rated?
it's not UV rated. No CPVC is UV rated.
That's scary.
Yeah.
So
So, I
how's
mean,
that
it's
work?
well,
How's it going to work from an inspection side? I mean, if they're going to run it up the wall.
it will pass inspection. The only thing it will not work for is the unit owner. But the plumbing company that's doing that does not care.
Right.
Yeah, because they're just bringing the feeds up and putting up new.
It's going to last through their warranty because I imagine their warranty maybe 2 years.
Right.
So no doubt it's going to
I
last
don't know
2
about
Not even that.
years.
Probably tail light warranty.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
good
I don't know
thing
about
is-
2 years. That's
We'll still make our money because we'll make it on our service
You'll come
department.
back.
3, 4, 5, 6 years from now, when everything starts cracking and popping apart, we'll go in and make our money on that side.
the audience needs to understand. I mean, CPVC and PEX obviously is two different animals, right, Joe?
Yeah.
In the sense of what I mean, Gerald's educating and Brian's education on. I'm not going to say CPVC versus PEX, but I'm going to say CPVC versus PEX, right? I mean, there's a pros and cons to everything that you do in construction, and some of the things for the audience needs to understand. I mean, from Prevent Plumbing and Gerald, they understand what it takes to be done right, Juan?
Yeah.
They understand the understanding of education to let the homeowner know what to do. It's not a guy just coming in and throwing a towel on the floor, right, Brian?
Yeah, and it's not a cost thing for us. Period. We will not work with CPVC, even if it's a water heater and it's the TMP blow off valve. Even though that line never gets used, we're still going to put PEX on that line. I mean, we're not going to skimp and say, oh, this CPVC is half the price. We'll use that. Even though it's never going to be a pressurized or used line, we're still going to put PEX. We won't stock CPVC. The only thing that we will have for CPVC in any of our vans is a connection fitting to transition it over to PEX and the glue to glue it on. Other than that, a drain pan maybe for a water heater, because a lot of times those are done in CPVC, but we also carry those in PVC. So,
Yeah,
but-
our CPVC transition fittings are copper outside with a CPVC inner sleeve.
Correct. So I
So-
mean, they're not even full CPVC fittings. They just have a small piece of CPVC on the interior of the metal fitting.
To do a changeover.
Yes, correct. That's going to bond to that pipe. But like I said, I mean, if our standards are high enough that we won't even use it, and you have more than half of the plumbing companies out there that are going to use it, that is something you need to think about. I mean, so like I said, the PEX comes with a 25-year warranty. You're not going to get that on copper. You're not going to get that on CPVC, and that's something you need to think about. I mean, we're gonna use that brand of PEX. It's U.S. Canada made PEX. It's Nibco brand, and 100% they're going to back up their product. You can't get anywhere near that kind of warranty on CPVC.
More important, I mean, the audience needs to understand. I mean, we talk about the CPVC and the abandoned block systems and PEX, obviously, right, Brian and Gerald? I mean, one of the things that's important people need to know is that this is a retrofit. No problems with even retrofitting to change it over, right, Brian? So, from a standpoint of if you see this, I mean, abandoned block system, which I highly suggest to get rid of, right, Gerald?
Correct.
I would suggest to call Brian and Gerald down at Prevette Plumbing. Don't fret.
Call Prevette.
What's that phone number, Brian?
239-596-5533.
So right around this time, I mean, the show, we've been trying to make it kind of an automatic thing, right, Juan? I mean, we want to give shout-outs, Gerald, to everybody out there in the audience that we know that we work with, right?
Yep.
And it's some of the things that we kind of highlight some of the smaller subcontractors out there in Southwest Florida. And it's my way and Brian's way of giving back into the community to actually have, I mean, subcontractors. If you're interested in being on the show, please give me a call at 239-825-1261. That's 239-825-1261. If you're looking to be on the radio show with me, I'd love to have subcontractors out there. If you love America, I'd love to have you guys on there, right, Brian? Absolutely. I mean, if the show is about small subcontractors in America, and if you love America and like we do, Gerald, I got to say, that's part of it, right? So
that's it.
Give me an email even, right? AC@theamericantrades.com. That's AC@theamericantrades.com. Gerald, I want to give you a shout out. I kind of gave a shout out to myself and getting some people on the show, but there's a lot of people who want to be on the radio show, and I'm trying to bring in small companies and small guys, get into our little round table. What do you think, Brian?
Oh, yeah, there's always room.
Knights of the Round Table. I mean, that's
it.
all it is. The American Tradesman. Gerald, go ahead and give me that shout out.
All right, so this week I want to give a shout out to Jared Carruthers over there at Florida Leak Pros. These guys are excellent. If you have a leak that you may think you may have, give them a call. A lot of times when people have leaks, if it's not a noticeable leak right off the bat, say up underneath the sink or something, if you have something that's coming under the asphalt, that's coming under the slab, that's going to be coming from somewhere in the yard, really you need to call a leak detection agency, and I would recommend Leak Pros. And like I said, and then you have your licensed plumber come in to make the repair, because a lot of times if you have a leak in the yard and it's not noticeable by eye, it's going to be hard for, a plumber as well. They're going to be able to tell you, yes, it's between your shut off by the road and your shut off at the house, but exactly where, if it's not noticeable by eye, by either standing water in the yard or something like that, your best bet to save time and money is to bring in a licensed leak detection agency. And like I said, Leak Pros and Jared Carruthers over there at Leak Pros, that's who you'd want to give a call to. Their number is going to be 855-239-LEAK.
Well, I've used them before. I mean, they even do pools, right?
Correct.
So I've used them on a slab a couple times. I mean, they're better than X-ray and sometimes in the sense of it, right, Brian? Yeah. So I do know those guys over at Leak Pros. I mean, back in the day from another company.
You know what happened is actually Super Bowl weekend.
This past Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. I'm sorry to say. If the audience wanted to know, I didn't watch the Super Bowl.
No, I didn't watch it either.
Or the halftime show. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't miss much, right?
I seen the halftime show.
We got called out to a commercial property that had water coming up in the blacktop at two different locations, about 20 feet apart. So instead of, just bringing the backhoe and starting to peel this driveway and going crazy, we actually had the property marked. Gerald contacted the leak detection company. They came out, pinpointed. It was actually turned out to be two different leaks, and it was actually a foot under the blacktop on the edges. So we were able just to kind of pull it back a foot, dig down, repair those two leaks, and they were able to patch it in-house with just two little bags of blacktop.
That's the code. I mean, Stethoscope. How do you say that?
Yeah, they come in with their
Stethoscope.
listening and
Stethoscope.
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 I'm not even going to
Stethoscope.
try it.
Stethoscope.
Stethoscope.
So over the Leak Pros, I mean, give them a call, right, Gerald? I mean, hey, you guys using them on a daily basis or weekly basis. If you think that you have a problem, give Gerald and Brian Brevet a call, and they'll get a hold of them for you. They don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, we can guide you in the step of, finding the leak and getting it repaired, as well as determining if you actually do have a leak. So, I mean, if you feel like you may, we can help you determine, yes, you do have a leak. It's going to require leak detection. Bring those guys in, then we'll come back when they pinpoint exactly where and repair the leak.
and if they don't.
Yeah, we'll do all the work for you.
Do all the work for you. Well, that's good. I mean, over at Leak Pros, Brevet Plumbing, that's like kind of a sister thing, right? So that's a good thing. I mean, like I said, we only give these shout outs to people that we know, small companies, right, Brian? I mean, it's about us. I mean, when we talk about sometimes we're a little bit more, it's not because we want to be a little bit more. It's because it's the only way for survival, right, Gerald?
That's right.
I mean, the reality of all of it is that people sometimes, I mean, can't understand why we're a little bit more because we pay for gas and FICA and Social Security and unemployment, and workman's comp and 401 and benefits and vacation, and we give it all, right, Juan?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I need the job. Anybody, Brian? You want a job, Brian?
Hey.
I got to tell you. So we do that because it's funny how we hear about $15 an hour right now, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how the benefit program would work under a $15 an hour guy. But I guess there is some presidents out there that are, I mean, I'm not going to get political, but on that red side that said we can do 15 to 20 bucks an hour and give some people driver's license. So I'm not going to get political. Gerald, you don't want me to hear that. But Juan, I know you had a shout out to give out, and it's probably somebody important, right, Juan?
Yeah, so I want to give a shout out to a nonprofit. This nonprofit my wife works with. It's we both, it's dear to us. It's called the Guadalupe Center. They are a nonprofit that works on early childhood, and their mission is to break the cycle of poverty through education. They reach out more than 1,300 kids currently with 3 programs, and they just want to break the cycle.
I mean, I find that kind of a very heartening thing because, in Southwest Florida, we do kind of forget what's out in Immokalee, right? Well,
Yeah, out in Immokalee.
I worked for the county for I don't know how many years, and a lot of times they were trying to just get a basketball court put up, right? And I said to myself that, and I'm not taking areas away from anything, but you'd get a driveway replaced in downtown Naples before you'd even get a driveway in Immokalee.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, not to say it, but, donate some things to good to the Southwest Florida. Guadalupe Center is an important, that's an important part of the community.
Yeah. So, they have early childhood education, after school, serving programs serving kindergarten to 2nd grade, and tutor corps programs serving high school students. And then, they see them all the way through to college, and then they try to bring them back into the program to become either, teachers and whatnot to give back to the community. It's just an awesome nonprofit.
Isn't there a place you can do donations and stuff and
Yes,
drop stuff off?
yes. You can find them on their website. You can do donations directly to their website, which is guadalupecenter.org.
Yeah, actually back in like 2000, we donated some services out there to their building in Immokalee.
Yeah.
They had needed
I
some
remember
homes
that.
that they needed
The community
to do.
center.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, like I said, for the audience out here, we are working people. I live in Golden Gate Estates. Right, Brian?
Oh, yeah.
So we are the working people. I don't look at Golden Gate Estates any better than Golden Gate City or North Naples, Naples Park. I'm not going to get too technical, but I don't live in Port Royal. Not me, myself. Gerald, do you live down in Port Royal?
No, man.
We worked down there a lot, but we
Oh, we
don't
work
live
there.
there.
That's
Yeah,
probably
we serve the
your truck.
area.
But again, it's about the community. So I highly suggest to give back to the Guadalupe Center. That's something important for the Immokalee people out there.
Yeah, it's important, like I said, for the early childhood and up, but also to get our kids into the trades.
That's right. I said to somebody yesterday, it's very hard for us to find employees, if you remember correctly.
Yeah.
And in the community, I found my own self growing up, not in the poverty world, but I know that when I said I'm going to college versus I'm going to the military, it was us. I mean, guys that didn't be able to get to college. And so if we can give back now to this community by training people up like yourself, Juan, think about it.
Yeah, just educating them, letting them know that, you
Learn
have
a
college and learning a trade. A trade is something that you can always use.
Yeah, I used to think to myself, I could always go to Las Vegas and change a light bulb or two, right?
Oh, yeah.
Got scared when they had a top to that what's that Eiffel Tower? And
Oh, yeah.
Could you change that light bulb? I've been at the airport a few times changing some light bulbs up 150 feet.
The beautiful thing about the trades is no matter where you go in the world, you can take that knowledge with you.
That's right.
And apply it.
So, like I said, see Juan's wife. What's her name, Juan?
Melissa Silva.
There you go. Go see Juan's wife. You can see she's a lot better looking than him. That's probably why he's on the radio.
That's why I'm on the radio.
And you can see in purpose. I mean, so go out to Guadalupe Center and help them out there and give to the people out in the Immokalee.
You can give her a call at 239-657-7711. Ask for her, or again, you can just visit their website, guadalupecenter.org.
All right. Well, Brian, don't write that down. That's on her cell phone.
Oh,
Okay.
I got it now. Don't think I have a store up on 41 North.
Yeah,
Campus?
that's their retail gift shop. They sell some stuff as well there.
We've been in there.
Well, listen, I mean, we wanted to kind of give that little roundtable of shout-outs to the people out there. I do want to give my own shout-outs to my main guys down at Supreme Auto, Johnny and Dr. Johnny. I mean, JR and Johnny have been friends for us, my friends, for 20 years, right, Brian? Yeah. I mean, a long time. I can only say they're good people. I'm coaxing JR. If you're listening, JR, I'm telling you now, you need to get on the radio with me. Your dad told me to keep bugging you. So get your butt on the radio down here. But I want to give a shout out to Supreme Auto. JR and them are good people, real good people. Been here for years, long time, longer than probably me even. But I can tell you they're good people down there. And so get a hold of Johnny and down at Supreme Auto, all right? And tell him Anthony sent you. Juan, I know we talked earlier about electrical and we jumped off to PEX and all the things that we talked about. But Gerald wanted to finish up. You wanted to finish up on the PEX, Joe?
Yeah, so what I was going to talk about is basically the manifold systems, eliminating those, and especially if you have the manifold with the polybutylene piping, go ahead and give us a call about a repipe. We're doing several estimates now, especially for communities for bulk rates. So if you are part of a community and you guys have CPVC or polybutylene piping, give us a call because we are doing bulk rates for those change outs. And like I said, we're going to give you a satisfactory product. I mean, we're going to give you the 25-year warranty, PEX pipe, brass lead-free fittings. We also replace all the stops and supply lines with chrome-plated ones, brand new stops and supply lines. I mean, we're not just going to take your old crusty ones you got under there and connect to it. We're giving you brand new, and that's part of the estimate. Like I said, it's not much more than what somebody's going to quote you for CPVC. And like I said, we can get that done for you. If you have a second floor condo and you require the outside to be ran and a line ran up the outside, we do that in copper. And we're going to run it copper all the way up to the soffit, bring it in, and then we'll transition over to PEX. So the line that's going to be outside is going to be copper, so you're not going to have issues from any of the UV problems here in South Florida, and we can get that done for you.
I mean, earlier, a few months back, we talked about the replacement of it, Brian, when we were talking about time frames, right? Hold on a minute. Motherfucker. Earlier, we were talking about, and I say a few weeks ago, we talked on the show about replacements and permits and what it takes. And Gerald, to hear somebody talk about replacements of plumbing, some people in their mind think that's kind of, how long is it going to take? How much drywall you're going to cut out? And a lot of times, people get scared, right? They just say, hey, this is the first thing I hear, Juan. It's working fine now. I'm not going to touch it, right?
Yep.
So one of the things that people got to recognize, during the world of all this is that never knew when you're going to die. Some days I wonder, I put myself through that and say what days I'm going to die. But one of the things I talk about is that people don't really understand what a process would take, right, Gerald?
Yeah, so most times in your condos, you're talking about a 2-day turnaround for the repipe itself. The permit can take, anywhere from 2 days to a week and a half, depending on the county speed at that time. Once we come in, we're going to make precision cuts. We're not going to cut all over your unit. We're only going to cut where we need to cut. And when we do cut, we're going to be using a HEPA vac. And that's the big thing with companies that are going to come in and cut the drywall in your unit is your drywall dust. It would take you weeks to get rid of it. You don't have to worry about that. We use HEPA-Vacs, drop cloths. We're going to be very clean, very neat. If you give us a call, we can give you at least 10 customers you can call and reference that who are super pleased with our work and the cleanliness, because we know what it's like to have somebody come in and, make a complete mess of things. That's not the company we are. And like I said, we're going to come in, we're going to do precision cuts. So we're only going to cut exactly where we need to. If we have to run a pipe down a wall, we don't need to cut all the way up and down that wall. We're going to need to cut where the pipe comes out and then maybe at the top of the wall, depending on which floor you're on. But we're not going to have to cut all the way up and down that wall. And that's going to be key, because the less we cut, the less it has to be patched and the less noticeable it's going to be.
I would say the key right there is the HEPA-Vac, because I've seen plenty of times where the right intentions were there, where a shop vac is used, but
it blows it right out the bag.
It was the worst thing that just happened, because, instead of, the dust being stationary where you're at, where they were cutting, it was blown throughout everywhere.
Yeah, and that's they're not set up for that. The shop vacs are not set up for those fine particles that are going to be in the sheetrock when you cut it. And that's why you really have to use a HEPA vac, and it has to be a HEPA filter, because those are going to trap the smallest particles.
Yeah, when we do the job, you might see plumber's crack, but you're not going to see dust and dirt. And that's what we pride ourselves on.
A little bit of lint.
Both of them.
You're not talking about cracks, right? What'd you say about
Plumber's crack.
crack? I know. I always thought that was I thought it was really, kind of a, mystery. Everybody said plumber's cracks, right? Until I met my buddy Jeff Wallers.
I know you're talking about.
I gotta say, I don't even think
He's
he
the
wore
Dolly
on.
Parton of the plumber's crack.
I'm gonna make him listen to this radio show just to say this, because I'm gonna make him get up at 6 o'clock just to know. But I love you, Jeff. I love you, Jeff. But one of the things I used to think to myself is that can't really be a true farce. A guy's got a crack. Well, I was lucky the guys didn't drop out on his little jewels from the backside. His pants was so far down. So I can tell you that there is a true story about plumber's cracks. Me and myself, we got belts, right, Juan?
We got belts. We use belts all the time. I think plumbers need to use overalls.
They do. I do know some plumbers that do. But
That's a whole lot of crack in it. They still
they
got
rip them
overalls.
open. They rip them
Guys,
open.
we
just to
work
keep
on
going.
tips.
And that is not a coin slot.
I just got scared for that comment. I can only say, we joke around, right, Gerald? It's 6 o'clock in the morning to most people, ain't it?
Yeah, I was kidding. We don't accept tips.
Well, like I said, I wanted to get back to the thing about Gerald. The things we talked about with the 2-day process for, getting it done. If you drywall repair, you can call me over at American Contracting and take care of the drywall. But hypothetically, the reality is, you're talking within a week, you could have a whole house replumbed, turned back on, and running.
That's correct. And everything's going to be brought up to code, inspected by a Collier County inspector. And he's not partial to us, so he's going to make sure it's done right.
Well, again, what's that number over at Prevette?
It's going to be 239-596-5533.
Don't fret, Brian.
Call Prevette.
That's right. What's that phone number, Brian?
239-596-5533.
All right. Well, Juan, I wanted to come back to you and say hi to you. I know we've been kind of avoiding you. You've been sitting over there, but some of the things that we talk about from a standpoint of, Wi-Fi. One of the things I wanted to talk about today was inspection-wise. It's time for people to, open doors, and clients are coming down, right, Brian? People are moving back down because the season's kind of beautiful weather. It's been beautiful weather. I know it's been raining, but it didn't rain for 6 weeks, I think, right?
Yeah.
So, dust is everywhere. So I can only say, but one of the things that, from a home inspection time is people open up their doors right now and they turn on the lights and all of a sudden, poof, a breaker pops, right?
Well, I just had that actually. I had that conversation earlier today. I was called my wife when I was on the road, and she's like, "Hey, by the way, my coworker, she mentioned that her AC's not working." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I throw a little helpful tips here and there, to see if a breaker tripped, and see if the thermostat's getting any power." And basically, that's what ended up happening. It was cold at night. Mm-hmm. They go turn on their heater, and it worked. And next thing you know, they wake up in the morning and it's all dead.
Breakers tripped, yeah.
It's dead. So, that's what ends up happening. If your heat strip sits there for very long periods of time, we're in Florida. We don't turn it on all the time. It builds up dust, it builds up dirt, and basically their heat strip went out.
It's kind of, touching base on the heat strips. I mean, I got to tell you, most people don't recognize. I mean, go ahead and turn your, heaters on, because I got to tell you, a lot of times your smoke detectors go off, right?
The telltale is that smell you get out of your vents.
That's right. It's like burnt toast.
Burnt toast, exactly.
And not to say it, but I said something about earlier with smoke detectors and maintenance right now. If you are a up north resident and you just received coming back down and you're listening to our beautiful show, right, Brian? Our informative show, right, Gerald?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, our loyalty to the subcontractors and the people even out there in the audience listening.
And our first responders.
It's our first responders, the veterans, everybody. But one of the things we want people to know, if you're a resident just moving down here or coming back home to Southwest Florida for your part-time residence, turn your ACs on.
Turn them on, exercise them, turn your heat strip on, and then also what's going to be best is prior to you leaving or when you come home, have us inspect your home, have us check your electrical. We get maintenances done on our cars all the time. We check our tire pressures, which nowadays, the gauges in your car tell you that. We check our oil levels. We change it every 3,000, 5,000 miles. You do the maintenance on your car. You need to do the maintenance on your electrical system. What do I mean by that? Checking the connections in a panel. Make sure that the lugs are tight. Make sure that the breakers are tight. Make sure that, your disconnects aren't melting because due to overuse or high temperatures, things of that nature. Just going through and doing a very comprehensive test and check throughout your home.
Each week we talk about, things that we do in the plumbing and the electrical world and some of the things from the contracting world, what we do out there. And, every time I say something about preventive maintenance, I want people to understand just because it is working doesn't mean it's going to continue to work, right?
Doesn't mean it's going to continue to work. Exactly. You just said earlier, if it ain't broke, why fix it? Which a lot of people say. Well, that's the reason why you change the oil in your vehicle. You end up burning oil in your vehicle, no matter what, if it's brand new to the year or 22 years old. But if you don't change that oil, if you don't refill it, it ends up going to burning something out. It may work today, but doesn't mean it's going to work tomorrow. So we want to prevent that. You want to do preventative maintenance. You want to get these things checked out. That way you're making a small problem go away versus incurring a big problem.
You know that, Gerald. I mean, you guys know that. I mean, telltale, because one of the things we talk about is electricity, and somebody goes and says the lights is out, and they go, okay, I got no lights, but you get a water leak. I mean, now you got a bigger problem, right?
Oh, yeah. We just had that happen. Water leak turned into 4 units damaged.
So, it is those things that we talk about, the stops, right, Brian? Yep. I mean, the connection points, on all the plumbing. I can tell you that, toilets move, right? They do shift around, right, Gerald?
Oh, yeah.
And so if you got something that's a hard pipe going straight to a fitting or a fitting that's got a plastic fitting, it's bound to break, right?
And the key thing that I would tell people right now, take a look up underneath your toilets. Look at the connection to your toilet. A lot of supply lines nowadays, they're transitioning over to full metal. If you have a supply line that has a plastic tip that connects to your toilet, call us to replace it. A lot of those are molded, and the mold, the center for that mold is right down the center of that. And I cannot tell you how many units I've been to where that molded supply line has actually split. So you have the threaded area still threaded onto the toilet, but the bottom portion of it where the supply line is actually at will be flapping and spraying water and flooding somebody's home. So if you do have a toilet supply line that has a plastic tip that threads on to your toilet, give us a call to replace it. We'll come out there. We use all metal braided supply lines. It's got a metal tip. They're starting to phase those out, but there's so many homes I see with those on there. And if yours does not have the metal braided supply line, call us also, because that one's liable to pop as well.
I want the audience to understand it's plastic lines that come down on most toilets, right? Not braided supplied. Is that correct in saying that?
Well, in new construction, yeah, a lot of times it's a plastic neoprene tube that comes down,
right?
And that's usually done to save cost.
It's like the stuff that
Yeah.
goes to the wash machine hose,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, you
It's
got a
real
braided
soft.
supply line that's, let's say, example, $6-7.
Right.
Then you have this plastic tube that comes down.
50
that's
cents.
33 cents.
Right.
You mean a
Yeah.
straw?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, the audience needs to understand it's braided. I mean, it's braided.
Braided
stainless-
no burst.
Right. It's a no burst. I mean, a couple months ago, we talked about how I said, "Hey, Brian, what's that bubble on the water machine hose?" And you said, "Put a pin in it," didn't you? And I put a pin in it and it popped me in the head. So, I joke around, but the audience needs to understand people don't check the washing machine hoses at all. I myself don't even think about it. So I'm in a house out in Golden Gate Estates. I flood my laundry room. I'll figure it out, right, Gerald? You flooded in a condo, you got a bigger problem.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I would suggest highly. I mean, not so much as the toilets and all of it, but I mean, wash machines. I mean, think about it. I've seen the pipes that go to them and the hoses.
Yeah, that's a lot more water than a toilet or a faucet that feeds a washing machine. And those old rubber hoses that they would put on there, those tend to, especially people don't realize that those tend to crack, and a lot of times they'll crack from the inside out. And so while you may see that it's a small leak, it's a lot bigger on the inside, and it's just waiting to go on you. So give us a call, because we'll come out there and replace those with a braided stainless steel hose as well.
I mean, a lot of times these washers are just, those hoses are in a bad position because they're just pressed against the wall.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many
That
times
is,
I see
that is correct. Your hot side is going to be the one that's going to be affected more out than anything because of the heat traveling through the hose.
Yeah.
And as you all know from like your radiator hoses on your car, everything like that heat puts a number, and that's the same kind of material, and it's going to put a number on those hoses. So I mean, you really need to give somebody a call, get those changed out, no matter what, every 4 to 5 years. I mean, a flood to your house, whether you're in a house or a condo, is not worth the price of those hoses.
And we use a good quality braided hoses. There are some companies out there that install what they're classifying as a braided hose, which actually has a plastic tube liner inside. And what starts to happen, especially on the hot side, is that will start to break down, and it'll get dispersed throughout and start clogging your faucets, your shower heads.
So you'll get pieces to break
Yeah.
up. So I mean, not to say it, but I mean, we all tend to keep our washer and dryer until all of a sudden it just stops, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and then all of a sudden you get a new one. So you're talking 15 years. But let's get reality into play. How long really is a washing machine hose good for? I mean,
That's a good question.
I mean, I think of my own self. I mean, we all say, "Oh, my washer and dryer just went. I went and bought a new one," but that may be a 10-year plan. I mean,
I think they last as long as your mattress.
Your washing
hey,
machine hose
I
is
got a
just,
sleep number, baby. Get off of it.
your washing machine hose is just as good as till it's gone.
That's right. That's right.
So do you
So let
want
me go back to that question. Are we talking 2 years or 10 years?
Well, I mean that's up to you. Do you
Till
want to
it's
do
gone.
do you want to do like Juan said and do preventive maintenance
Right.
and save your house?
Yeah.
Or do you want to wait and say, it's not broke, I'm not going to worry about fixing it. When the washing machine hose breaks, you've got a lot more than a washing machine hose to fix.
I would change a rubber hose to a braided no burst, and then at the same time submit some paperwork to my homeowner's insurance and see if I could get a little bit of a deduction on my homeowner's insurance.
Brian, every time you come on the show, man, I love you. I love you. But in the sense of it, he gives you the education of what he's really telling you. And I mean, he's protecting you by stating what he just said. Give it to your insurance company to get a discount, right?
That's right.
So, hey, again, don't fret.
Call Prevent.
What's the phone number, Brian?
239-596-5533.
Hey, speaking of insurances, will they get a discount too if they install a water cop?
Yeah, but what I always tell people on those is check with your insurance company first, because they may have a few brands that they recognize. And so on something like that, always check with your insurance company first and see, and there's different stages of that.
I know condos would probably get a discount.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like he said, some of them only recognize certain brands. So
Right.
before you get the plumber in there to say, hey, install this, you need to make sure, because different insurance companies operate differently. So some may prefer this brand because, they trust that, and some may prefer this brand. And you definitely don't want to install one that, they don't prefer, because then you're
You
not
just
going to get
spent
your
the money.
Yeah, you just spent the money and you're not going to get the
And there's different levels of installation. I mean, you can get it to where it just kind of alarms you. You can actually get it to where it shuts things off. So, probably depending on your insurance company, whatever way
Whatever
you go
they
with
look
it.
to get the break on it, right.
The best deductible.
So, the audience needs to understand. I mean, we're talking about, censoring obviously waters and toilets and sinks and garbage disposals and all that, right? Dishwashers. That's a sensor that Juan was talking about. But what we talk about every week and all weeks is about maintenance and inspections and all the things that we kind of give you informative information, nothing more, right? So, when I say to you, turn on your heaters tonight, turn on your heaters tonight. Make sure that dust comes off, right, Juan?
Make sure the dust comes off, and if you don't get no heat and you get breaker stripping, give me a call at 239-353-4389.
And what's that website, Juan?
AmericanElectricalService.net. You can contact us there as well.
That's right. And Gerald, what's the website over there, Gerald?
PrevetPlumbing.com.
PrevetPlumbing.com. And you can go to the radio shows on PrevetPlumbing.com.
That is right. If you go to the PrevetPlumbing.com, you can go to one of our select tabs. It's called Radio Broadcasting, and we are posting all of our shows on there.
Well, I like to end the show all the time by telling everybody God bless, right, fellas? God bless the country. God bless. And again, the show is about small subcontractors and small companies out there and just trying to make a living, right, Juan?
Yes, always.
God bless America and Semper Fi.
Hoorah!